my first time riding this bike to work. I picked it up yesterday and put about, I think, 50 miles on it. Went for a little night ride. Headlight's awesome. Gonna adjust the high beam a little bit, but so far I love this thing. A lot more comfortable than my old Beta. I don't know if it's got a higher top speed. I don't know, it definitely has a higher top speed, but I don't know if the acceleration is much faster than the Beta. They seem pretty comparable in power. But, you know, 200 more pounds on the bike, 20 more horsepower, so I think the Beta was 47 or 48 at the rear tire, and it was 250 pounds. This one's 450 pounds and makes like 67, I think, at the rear tire. But it definitely handles the high speed a lot better. One thing I've noticed is the heat is definitely an issue. When you're moving it, it's alright, but once you get down to 20 miles an hour or less, you definitely feel the bike's pretty warm down by your legs. And I'm surprised the cat side isn't much hotter than the other side. Left and right side both are pretty damn hot. Yeah, so I don't really have any other adventure bikes to compare this to. But it feels extremely light for being 450 pounds. Like if you're at a stoplight or just sitting still and you're waving your legs around, you know, shifting the bike, it feels lighter or the same weight as my Beta. But when you go to push it around or, you know, do a quick maneuver, that's when you can feel the weight. But it's not bad. Just something I gotta get used to, coming from a dirt bike with a plate. My only real big gripe is the throttle response. There's a little bit of a delay. Feels like you got to get to about a quarter throttle before it really wants to do anything. And I'm used to my Beta where once you crack it off idle, it wants to go. And I've got it in the most aggressive throttle map. I did all that stuff before I even left the dealership. I was waiting for paperwork to be dealt with. I was going through and customizing everything how I wanted it. Bike says it's 89. I think it's only 84. But yeah, going around 20 in this traffic, you can definitely feel some heat building up around your legs. I love this display and the thumb controls. When I was watching videos, I thought I'd just keep the display on the nighttime mode, but because the white background looked too bright. But I I set the brightness to about 5 and put it on auto, and it's been pretty much perfect. Oh, I guess I have one more gripe other than the throttle response. The cat. Why is it right down by your foot? Why couldn't they put that in the muffler so you can just buy a slip-on? I feel like most manufacturers do that now. The cat's somewhere in the muffler. But before I do any off-roading on this thing, I'm going to do the full T-Rex racing setup. The skid plate, dash bars, the rear rack, and the headlight guard. Because I heard somewhere, if you get a crack in the headlight or something, you want to replace it, it's $1,100 for the headlight, and it takes about 3 months. I believe they're Optimum Performance Motorsports or something like that in Portland. He was telling me they make the parts to order, that's why it takes 2 or 3 months to get a part. You know, supposedly they don't have a bunch of parts sitting on shelves. And for those of you wondering, this bike was $13,800, I believe, out the door. A rebate going on, a $500 rebate, and some special financing that ends today, so I walked out with this thing, no money down or anything. I have put $0 towards this bike, and I have 6 months to make my first payment, which was a good option for me because I wanted one of these, but I needed to sell my Beta first. But now I can have one and work on selling my Beta. I'm definitely not going to be able to do all the single track trails I was doing on the Beta, but this is what I do more than off-roading. So I had to take a little off-roading away to get a little more road friendly. I'm going to try and take a different way to work because I don't want to be sitting in all of this. I believe normally from around the start exit it takes me 20-30 minutes to go 2 more exits, so I can start and hop over onto 82nd. I'm loving this seat though. The skinniest part's wider than the fattest part on that Beta seat, even with the seat concepts. I can never remember if the green light is running or low beam. I think it's just running. The first thing I did to this thing was take off those rubber things that went on the peg, because I was wearing some Romeos on the way home from the dealer, and I stood up and my feet just kept sliding off, so I pulled those off, and they're pretty grippy factory pegs. I can't really complain. I've learned when riding with shorts, do not touch the tank. I don't know why, but it gets extremely hot. It might just be the black paint in the sun, but I don't feel like it's hotter than that should be. Pretty nimble at the slower speeds. It's all intake. I think I'm going to get one of the Dominator exhausts for it. They're cheap and they sound alright. So I don't know if this is standard everywhere, but my dealer was telling me the first service is $400. I don't know why it costs so much. That might not be a lot to some of you guys, but someone that does their own oil changes, you know, I think it's $80 to do a oil change. It's quality oil and a OEM filter. I think the only thing they got to do is flash the ECU and let it know that the service was done. But I don't know, they might be doing more. I feel like they got to be doing more for $400 for an oil change and get a blinky light off the screen, you know? Like right now, I'm not giving it any throttle. We'll just chug up this hill. I like that about this motor. To me, the clutch feels a little sloppy, but I think that's just because I'm used to the hydraulic Brembo clutch on the Beta. I'm sure I'll get used to it over time. It's really easy to balance on this bike too. It almost feels easier to balance on this than my Beta, just going real slow. I was doing circles in the grass and on my driveway. It felt very stable. I like that this bike isn't overheating. The Beta would have been at like 220 in this traffic. I guess that just means I don't have an excuse to lane split and ride stupid anymore. The seat is very soft and gushy. Big fan of that. Oh, I never noticed it changes the color of the tach and gear indicator. The front and rear brake feel very, very good. I feel like you got a lot of control. Especially the front, since it's a dual rotor. I've only ever had single. I've also seen that Uni is making a foam filter for these guys. I will definitely be doing one of those. I just don't like the sound of a paper filter for when I go in dusty environments. I don't feel like they filter as well. But I don't know a lot about filters. They might be better. I just like the fact that the Uni foam one, I'll be able to clean it and reuse it. Instead of, I think it's like 55, 65 bucks for the paper filter, so I think it's twice as much, but I might get 5, 6 washes out of it. Let's see how many miles it's got on it. 62 miles. I am not doing the typical don't rev it above $4,000 and then don't rev it above. I'm not doing that shit. I'm riding it how I'm gonna ride it. There's been many places where it's been proven that does nothing. If a motor's gonna break, it's gonna break. That doesn't mean go banging off the limiter bill like that. From the factory, there's a sticker under the dash. It said, do not exceed blah blah blah. I think it was 105 miles an hour because the tires aren't rated for it. It's like right down there or something, you know. You don't want to, probably want to listen to that. Well, just got off work and I'm on my way home. It is 4:30 in the morning. Sun's already getting ready to come up too. God, the intake noise on this thing. That sounds so good. thingies. I think they look cool. They kind of wrap around the brake reservoir right there, but I mean, it's just flimsy plastic. And they don't do the best job of keeping the wind off of your hands. Maybe I need to adjust them a little, but I think I'm just going to get some aftermarket ones that also bolt into the handlebar mount. Can't remember the name. I want to say it's like oversized dirt bike or something, company something like that. This is pretty sweet. That I first started posting videos with, I had a lock that would rest on the brake lever. That was alright for flat roads, but it would vibrate loose and wiggle around. I mean, you had to have it so tight so it wouldn't move around that when you went to roll off the throttle, but it was kind of stiff and hard. So having an actual real cruise control is nice. I do think I'm going to get the little wind thing, just that little $30 Amazon jobber, because the peak on my helmet is real buzzy. I hold it, it's dead silent, but once I let go, it's all so probably have to get that. Man, and I'm getting about 55 miles a gallon, 56 miles a gallon. This thing is badass. And I found out the gas tank right here is real skinny because the air box is right here. The filter's right in front of the gas cap. I don't know if I talked about that on the way to work. But I definitely love this bike. I mean, this is like a 9.5 out of 10 bike. Like the only gripe I have is the throttle response, because I used to ride my cable Beta 500, you know, and the cat right down there. Those are my only real gripes. One of those I'm gonna fix and get an aftermarket full system. You know, another one, obviously, everybody complains about the skid plate. It is just a flimsy piece of aluminum foil. But, you know, for most people just riding gravel roads, it's fine. You just need it to protect the bike from rocks flying up, you know, not bash them off of boulders, so. In that department, I'd say it's alright. Yeah, this bike is dead stable. But, you know, I'm comparing it to a dirt bike. With a big front fender, you know, this is aerodynamic and meant for the road with off-road in mind. That's kind of how I see this bike. I'd say it's a true 50-50. That's pretty good on-road, and I'm assuming it's going to be pretty good off-road. It feels light, you know, but I definitely ain't going to be able to hop no log. I'm still kind of a new rider. I've only been riding 3 years, so. No, 4 years. Yeah. Had a different bike every year. I started on a 93 DR350S, a kickstart only model. I bought that for about 800 bucks. Had to kind of rebuild it with one of our buddies who's mechanically inclined. And that bike really got me into wrenching on two-wheel machines and stuff. And then I got a KLX 300. And then the Beta, and now this. So yeah, new bike every year. Alright, and then shutting off cruise control. Let's see what I average. 32.5. It went down, but I'm assuming just because I let it idle for like 20 minutes, warming it up while I was talking to a co-worker. Sounds pretty good for stock. Ka-chow! Yeah, I want to raise that high beam up a little. I don't know if you can tell where that's hit. Especially like the ride it went on last night. I tried to film my first actual ride, but I forgot to put a new battery in the GoPro. But I mean, dude, talk about pitch black. I like swerving on all these things going down this road. Helps me practice my avoidance. Yeah, pretty nimble. I mean, all things considering. Not having to use a whole lot of handlebar input. I mean, just flicking the hips around. You know, if I do the bar, it's a lot quicker, but it gets bouncy. I feel like the front tire might lose a little grip. Made that mistake once on my first bike, was getting a little too aggressive, and the front tire picked up and moved about a foot over. It only slid a little. I didn't go down, but man, I learned my lesson. I probably could have went. Oh, sucker! That was the speed limit.